Hey y'all, I'm Todd Bailey.
What's up? It's Arie Lumberdozy.
And this is fucking Brewtal.
Get in the pit, stock up the fridge, and listen. We're here to cover the latest in metal news and craft beer. A match made in hell.
If it makes you bang your head, then we want to hear it. If it tickles your taste buds, share those suds.
Turn it up to 11.
Crack open that beer.
It's about to get brutal.
What is up, hopwolves? How long has it been? Since June, July, August? It's been a few months, but we are back with episode 60. Gone far too long, but we couldn't leave 2022 without this, our brutal
Cheers,
rap episode, where we talk about the best of the best and the most brutal.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Ari, how you feeling about this?
Well, it's no surprise that as every year when we come up with this list, excited but nervous,
Yes.
close to panic attacks at multiple points, a lot of tears, a lot of changes, and even some of the orders still not convinced per usual, but we're gonna do our best. And yeah, I'm excited. Gotta, like you said, we gotta end on a good note since it's been far too long. I was gonna make a Gone in 60 Seconds joke, but it's been longer than that.
I mean, Man of the Year, Nicolas Cage. So much talent.
They made a movie about him,
That's
starring
right.
himself. Yeah, dude. I mean, feeling good. You feeling pretty good about this? I know, like, we
Yes, sir.
talked about
Got
this
my
months ago.
whiskey ready for this.
Oh yeah. That's you got whiskey. I've got a white peppermint mocha that Sky just brought back from Starbucks. So like, it's gonna get pretty wild.
Yes.
And for once, maybe I won't be the one that's gonna be drunk. I mean, I won't be because I have coffee. So I'm leaving that up to you, buddy.
If I start slurring, just let me know.
Encouraged.
Would you like to do the honors of starting with your top 5 beers of the year, craft beer?
Yes, I would. Thank you. Almost always it's you. So, and I just gotta say, it is weird getting back in the swing of doing the show, but this is the best one to do it. So here we go. How we're gonna go through all these lists is I'm just gonna name it. Todd's gonna name his, and then if we have anything to discuss, we shall do that. But not to say that there won't be an interjection. Probably for me. I'm already taking too long, so I'm gonna get into it. So we're gonna start with number 5 all the way up to number 1, and this is beers that were featured on the show. And since it's been a weird year for not only our personal lives, but for the show, there's a lot of beers that were really good that never made it onto the show. So these are the ones that we actually got to drink and share with the hopwolves out there. So I'm going to start it off in Todd's, not neck of the woods, but his wheelhouse with a Pilsner. At number 5, I had Three Floyd Speed Castle. Number 4 is Wiseacre Brewing Co. They're out of Memphis, Tennessee. They're Puffle Hazy Juicy Double IPA. Next up, number 3 is Three Floyds. I didn't even do that on purpose. That is kind of good. A nice coincidence. Wow, I sound like an idiot right now, but here we go. Three Floyds Dismembers Only Milk Stout. That was a barrel-aged one. I love Three Floyds. One big thing since the last time we recorded and put out an episode is I live in PA again as opposed to Indianapolis, so I miss not having Three Floyds at all times, but that was a favorite. Number 2 is Steelbound Brewing and Distillery from Ellicottville. Their Blue Balls Blueberry Wheat Ale. Shout out to our boy Brandon Brutalo. He got that for me for a wedding present. Appropriately named, very tasty. And then number 1 for top 5 featured bands of 2022, featured beers, excuse me. Beer Zombies out of Las Vegas, Nevada, the Hoppy Horror Picture Show. That is a double dry hop, double IPA. And yeah, so that's the list. Any surprises there for you, Todd? Do you remember any of these? Sometimes it's hard to go back and be like, I mean, I know I liked it, but like,
I remember the Puffle one because of the can. It's like all these crazy creatures, like a wolf with a penguin body or vice versa.
yeah,
I love the concept. They kind of went with, the Stranger Things upside down world where this is existing, like a parallel universe kind of deal. I thought that was really fun. So I'm glad you included that on your list. Beer Zombies, though, as number one, I'm not surprised. I mean, you've always been a fan, but it's nice to see that one make number one because they're just great. And having three Floyds twice, that might cause some controversy, but that's okay. I totally get that.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't like that, but we put out a lot less episodes than we normally do,
Mhm.
and the other ones I was just like, dude, I don't think I liked most of the other ones. So like by default it had to be 2 3 Floyds, but I'm not mad about it. I'll fight anyone. I fucking love 3 Floyds and miss it dearly.
Yes, sir. If
So what about yourself? I'm gonna cut you off and say go for it, damn it.
I'm not ready. Yes, I am. Number 5, I have Sweetwater Brewing Company with their blueberry wheat ale. Blueberry is like one of my favorite fruits, and I think they nailed this. Very simple concept, but I think blueberry just enhances a wheat ale, and I love it. So that's our number 5. Number 4, this brewery doesn't exist anymore, so I'm very sad. It's an Austin brewery here where I live. It's Adalbert's Brewing with their hibiscus saison. I think they nailed the flavor. If you happen to find a can of their beer somewhere, grab it because they're not making it anymore, unfortunately. At number 3, I have Prairie Artisan Ales with their Rainbow Sherbet Sour. Again, they like nailed the flavor profile of this, and I loved it. I usually don't go for sours, and I'm very picky with them because if I don't like the fruit that they're making the sour from, then it gets muddy for me. But that just hit all the right notes for my palate. At number 2, I have St. Elmo Brewing. What's a list without St. Elmo Brewing? One of my favorites in Austin. I picked their Tonk Pils New Pilsner. It's the Slipknot can. On the can itself, Tonk Pils is Slipknot backwards. It's an ode to a brewer that they know, and I don't know. It's this dark black matted can with the red letters. I loved it, and of course I have a Pilsner or two. Are y'all surprised? However, though, my number 1 pick is Shiner Beer. Shiner? Why Shiner? I picked their Tex Hex Brewhaus Brew IPA. So I have an IPA as my number 1. That little brewery down here in Texas, they nailed it with this IPA. I'm so shocked that it's like coming from them because to me it's like would come from an obscure craft beer that you want to gatekeep. But no, this is a Shiner beer. If you've seen the commercials, they're kind of weird and kind of creepy and spooky. But yeah, I loved it, man. The flavor was fantastic. Everything about it, like, it kept making me think about it, and I wanted to buy more. So that means it's number 1 for me.
That's nice, dude. I am so proud that a Pilsner is not number 1 or a lager or a Doppelbock or anything like that. Anything you would normally put. I mean, I know you love IPAs, but it is kind of nice. And a lot of sours on there too, which is unexpected. But
I could have done a Hellas as a number 1.
Oh yeah. Thank God you didn't. I'm proud of you. That's a solid list, dude. And I was wondering where the Slipknot one, the Tonk Pills, was going to be on there because I remember you being excited about that one. And of course, St. Elmo's can't have a year-end list without that one. I know that's one of your favorites down in your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, solid list, man. And again, I'm excited that both sours and IPAs were on there, and that's good stuff.
That's right. A nice mixed list. That'll kind of be a theme here. So I'm going to kind of like nudge a little anticipation for things coming. But since you started off the beers, I'm going to start off the top EPs of 2022. At number 5, I have Snakefather, The Concepts of Torture. They were going to be on this list regardless. Guys, this is going to be you're going to hear this often throughout this podcast is it was so hard to choose and to eliminate bands from these lists. So yeah, just bear with us. So at number 5, I have Snakefather, The Concepts of Torture. Number 4, I have Great American Ghost with Torture World. Torture seems to be a theme here, but at number 3, I have A Dozen Black Roses, Treading Ever So Deeply. Love those guys. And then at number 2, I have Pincer Plus with Hunting God Tapes, Volume 1, Violence. And number 1, I have Alpha Virus, Collections of Pain. Arie, ever since you had me listen to those guys, I was like, who the fuck are these guys? They brought it with that EP. So did Pincer Plus. It was actually a toss-up between those two, but and it's kind of funny how that happened because I listened to the Pincer Plus when it released, and we had it on one of our lists. And then I think that same day we had an Alpha Virus single out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Arie told me to listen to this. And then once I listened to that one song, I was like hooked. And I was like, okay, where's this EP? Let me listen to this whole thing. And I listened to it on like the way to a shoot for work. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So that's number 1, man.
Love the list, dude. I know we've been talking about this for a while, and you said you had a lot of ones that weren't going to be expected. And I knew Snakefather would be on there. Absolutely killer EP. That band is going places. Brewtal.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
I was gotta shout those boys out. And yeah, they're doing amazing, fucking killer, brutal
Cheers,
things for
motherfuckers.
sure. The Pincer Plus agree. Alpha Virus as a little precursor will also pop up on my later on. Yeah, very solid list. Everything is a fucking banger for sure. So to keep the train rolling all night long, my top 5 EPs, and I am happy with this list, but I had to make some last minute changes like literally before we started recording. So like I forgot about a lot of these other ones, but I did listen to these EPs, and that's another thing that I don't know if we mentioned this year or not. But being thoroughly honest and not only enjoying the album, but actually putting in the time to listen to the album. Because we say this every year, but 2022, I think, is like the best year in metal. Like I didn't think it could get, so far. No, it's the best. But 2021, coming out of the pandemic, like we're still in it. We're still slowly coming out of it. So there was a lot of great stuff coming out last year, but my God, some of the best shit's come out this year. But anyway, I'm rambling at this point. It's hard, and putting in the actual listening time is part of how we chose this stuff. So what I have for top 5 EPs, a lot of Brewtal
Cheers,
alums on here as
motherfuckers.
well. I'm
Nice.
kicking it off with our boys In Retrospect with their Current State EP. A lot of just like a really fun metalcore album, and this is them. It sounds like coming into their own. We talked to Nathan Biddle's lead singer last year, and he was referencing like this EP. Like when I talked, he's like, dude, wait till you listen to what we have coming out. And he was right. I mean, if you're a fan of Wage War and stuff like that, you're going to love Current State. And I absolutely did. Next up, Kublacon, TX, motherfucker, Lowest Form of Animal. Can't not have them on there. Titans amongst Titans. And some like they're always talking about socially relevant lyrical content, and it's definitely on here. Great album. EP, I should say. Number 3, our boy Pat and his band Papadalian, shout out to him. Fall Off the Earth with their self-titled. These guys have been around for a lot longer than like what they are putting out now. It's been like 15 years since they came out with their initial EP, so it's really awesome that Pat, and also shout out to Jake, their drummer. Those are the only 2 I know, but they're local here to PA. Love what they're doing. It's really good hardcore elements. They call themselves Power Slop.
Nice.
Just a good ass time. Also, Brewtal
Cheers,
alum,
motherfuckers.
our boys in Buffel. I just saw Buffel with Fall Off the Earth, or vice versa, a few weeks ago, and it was just a great time. Both bands really bring the heat, and couldn't ask for anything more, especially from Grave of the Condemned King from Buffel. I had that EP like on repeat in my car. We both have a copy of it, physical copy, and I absolutely love it. Just the golden age of metalcore in a nutshell. That's what they did. And my number one EP for this year is Distinguisher, Under the Weight of Things I Couldn't Change.
Yo, such a good
I
one.
Dude, I don't know what it is about that album, but they're incorporating new metal elements into it with some crushing riffs, some again like the lyrical content. There's a theme here. A lot of like a really like emotional shit is gonna be like at the top for me, which is kind of how I've been feeling most of the year. But ever since that one dropped, like way earlier in the year, I think it was like April, I knew that that was gonna be my favorite, and I constantly go back to that EP. So those are my top 5 there.
Gonna get out the fire extinguisher for that heat you just pulled. Let's keep moving, dude. Solid choices. It's actually funny you bring up Distinguisher. I lobbied for them on Twitter because they're up against Spirit Box right now in a Twitter EP of the year, and I was like, that's harsh competition, first of all, but
yeah,
they deserve all the recognition because that is just
absolutely
a solid EP. But let's keep this train rolling. We're gonna keep calling it a train. Let's keep the Brewtal train rolling. We're now gonna move to our top 5 albums of the year. So these are our personal selections, basically what we have been listening to the most this year and what affected us the most this year. And so I'm gonna start with my number 5, and my number 5 is Wounded Touch, American Anxiety. These guys just hit a metalcore note, almost in the vein of Converge, if you will. I would even say almost like Vane FM today. There's something about that man's screams. They're almost like wheels screeching, tires screeching. But I love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. And there's a little twist on that last track on the album. They go a little bit more new metal. I even think they have a Deftones cover, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but these guys are they're doing something, and it's like a throwback, but it's a new version of a throwback of that style of metalcore. I love it. So that's my number 5. And number 4, this is the one, Arie, where I thought it was going to be my number 1, but then I had to be honest with myself. But This band, everyone should go check out. These guys are very new. A Scent of Autumn with their album Awakened. I believe they're from Australia. Don't quote me on that. I'm kind of spitballing here, but I'm pretty sure they are. This is their first album, debut album, and I think they killed it. I think they should be in a lot of people's top 5s of the year. I was blown away when I heard it. I was just like, again, who is this? And like, why are you so good? And at such a young age, but they're killing it. Go check them out. And number 3, I have Orthodox, Learning to Dissolve. I feel the most underrated album of the year is their album. I did not see a lot of people talk about it. I think that's a disservice to them. I think this is their best album to date. The riffage, whoever their guitar player is, I don't know his name, but I love you. Every song on this album to me is unpredictable because everything I thought was going to happen in the track did not. And the riffs are so original, in my opinion, very original and very unique. And I just think they took their sound to a whole other level. So you got my number 3 spot, Orthodox. At number 2, I have Hollow Front with The Price of Dreaming. I think it's a classic metalcore album that should go down in history. I think the band has improved on their sound. They're clean vocalists. My God, I kind of compare him a little bit to Marcus from Northlane, just on how he sounds. But I just think he kills it. And the title track, The Price of Dreaming, course of the year, I think so. But my number 1, let's move on to number 1. I don't think this is going to shock Arie too much, but I'm going with Bad Omens, The Death of Peace of Mind. That's my top album of the year. This came out in January, a long time ago, it seems like, but I could not stop listening to this album. I had this album on repeat while I worked, in the car when I drove. I know the lyrics so well enough. I could sing you the choruses. A lot of people said there's a lot of filler on this album. I highly disagree. I actually think it's such a cohesive album front to back that it's such a complete album. Like, you can't go wrong.
Great picks. I'm not surprised by Bad Omens,
No.
and it is a great album. I think that they've really come into their own. Like every album, so this is their fourth one that they've slowly been breaking away from like the Bring Me comparison, and now they're finally like, I think they're in their stride at this point. So I saw something that like Noah Sebastian, their lead singer, was like, I wish that fans would only listen to like this one and the album before this one, which is escaping me, because they're like, we weren't who we wanted to be. So great album. The Orthodox I wasn't expecting, but yeah, that is an underrated one for sure. That band is doing hardcore justice. Fuck yeah, they're so heavy and they're so good live too. And then also like the theme of, because that their guitarist is also in A Dozen Black Roses, so that is just showing how much staple like this man's riffage is. I'm also not sure what his name is. The only one I didn't really know was the Scent of Autumn. I know you talked about it before, but I didn't give them the time of day, so I'll have to go and check them out. But also the Hollow Front one.
Yeah, Hollow Front for sure. Yeah, the Ascent of Autumn is the one I was kind of keeping a secret. And I had that as number one, but I was like, there's no, like, I cannot not have Bad Omens as my number one, because I poured so many hours into that album.
As you should. It's a phenomenal album and a great choice. And again, I think what's fun with the EPs and the albums of the year just in general is like, it just shows like what we're actually listening to most of the time. And I know I've talked about that before, but it gives you a snapshot that a lot of the times, like the album that we listen to the most is not that heavy. And I mean, heavy in different aspects, but anyway, great picks. Love it. Okay. So top 5 album of the year for your boy here. Damn. Yeah. It was hard to even pick like number 5 here. The first 3 was pretty easy, but anyway, I'm going with The Machinist with All Is Not Well at number 5.
Nice.
Yeah, I forgot about that band and could not stop listening to it. It's a great metalcore album. Amanda, their lead, their front woman, is just a lot of fun. Like her screams are pretty nice, and she does some cleans and stuff, and the riffs, it just the whole package, man. I loved it. I couldn't stop listening to it. So then after that, you had mentioned Vane before. Vane FM, This World is Going to Ruin You.
True statement.
A true statement. And that's how I felt like this whole fucking year was for me personally. I was blown away by that band. Like I listened to Arizona, their first album. Before that, I know they had some other stuff too, and I wasn't like a huge fan until this album came out. And one of my favorite music videos of the year is The Killing Womb. I fucking love it. And I love this album. Next up is Counterparts with A Eulogy for Those Still Here. Anyone that knows me at this point, or anyone that's listening to the show, that shouldn't be a big surprise. I'm a big Counterparts slut. They were just in town. I'm really pissed I got to miss them. I did miss them. But that band just continues to get better and better. I love Brendan Murphy, especially like the shit that he says online and at shows is just fucking hysterical. But this was, I felt like a more dynamic album for them. And they're
aging like wine to me.
Absolutely, dude. They just keep getting better and better. So that's number 3. Number 2, Spite Cult Motherfucker with Dedication to Flesh. Catchy, crushing. Darius is one of my favorite vocalists in the game. His pronunciation and how like low his shit goes is insane. And then the addition of Baby J on drums was the best thing that could have happened to this band. I think that this is their best one to date. I love it. I just listened to it the other day. And then number 1, again, shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that's listened to this show, and to you, Todd. I told you this back when it dropped. North Lane with Obsidian is my number 1. I talked about like really emotional albums really hitting it for me this year. And Obsidian was definitely that one. I absolutely love the direction that Northlane has been heading in ever since Alien. And I mean a little bit before that too, but Alien for me is like when they really like solidified the sound. I love Marcus Bridge. I love the whole band. John Dealey is an amazing musician,
The
just with his composition.
layers
Dude.
and textures, and oh my god, yeah.
Chef's kiss for sure. I could go on for hours, days, months, years about North Lane, but yeah, those are my top five. So the first three were pretty. Actually, I had Spite as my number one, but I had to be honest with myself, and I listened to North Lane a lot more than I did Spite. Uh, but they were neck and neck. So yeah, that's the top five albums of the year there. As always, let us know in the comments in Instagram, shoot us a message on there, Facebook, anywhere, or when we post the socials or this episode. Let us know what you're listening to, what really resonated with you. So those are what we listen to the most. But now we're getting into the most brutal shit. Now, with that being said, the thing I know that Todd and I talked about as far as like how we kind of went about this is in the same vein, FM. Not only are these crushing, brutal, disgustingly filthy, actually enjoy them, because there's a lot of brutal shit.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff out there that's heavier, I would imagine, but not all of it is that great. So I'm going to start us off with the most brutal
Cheers,
EPs.
motherfuckers.
Number 5 for your boy here is the Archaic Epidemic with Carnivorous Diadem. Always should probably check this beforehand, but fuck it. We're doing it live. Kinda. Yeah, that one dropped not too long ago. Symphonic deathcore, blackened deathcore, whatever genre you want to lump it into. But these guys are new to the scene and doing it very, very well. Number 4 could not include these guys. I was trying to figure out like where to put it exactly, because we were doing the structure a little bit differently before the recording, but couldn't not have Peeling Flesh with Human Pudding.
Nice.
Just stupid slam heaviness, dude. And I mean, the name of everything says it all. And the ending track has was the guy from No Face No Case and Cell, I think is on our feature on there. Easily the heaviest of the EP. Number 3, this shouldn't come as any surprise. I love this band. They were my most brutal
Cheers,
album from last year. But the boys in Tech Death Master Minds, I don't fucking know. I'm talking about Crown Magnetar with Alone in Death. I was there with you guys, so not everyone was alone. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, these guys are just pushing like the limits on what you can do in the genre. Speed-wise, technicality, just straight up brutal.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Next up, another symphonic deathcore type of deal, but very young band, blew me away. A really big Shadow of Intent influence is what I was gathering, but that's not a slight. It's a very good thing, because Disembodied Tyrant with their EP, The Divine Stigmata, is number 2 for me. And again, that one just came out not too long ago. Same thing with my number 1. Much like Todd's favorite EP, I had to go with Alpha Virus Collections of Pain, because it is dumb, stupid, fucking heavy. Shout out to my boy Eric Lewis, Baby Bear. Talked about him a few times on the show. He showed me this band a while ago. Anyway, Alpha Virus is easily one of my favorite EPs overall, but no way could I not have that as my number 1. Like Todd said, it came out not too long ago, but it's been on repeat, and I feel like Sub-Zero ripping Scorpion's like head out, like with the spine attached, for a fatality, or any number of fatalities from Mortal Kombat, while listening to Collections of Pain. I feel it in my bones, and I love it. Thank you, Alpha Virus, and the rest of my top brutal EPs.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Solid list there. You're gonna hear a lot of repeated EPs on my list, but for my number 5 is actually Alpha Virus Collections of Pain.
Nice.
So that's number 5. Number 4 is End It All, put here to suffer. These guys are from Australia. I can confirm. It's enough songs to almost think it's an album, but I double checked and it is an EP, even though I still think it's an album. But God, I love that band. Was very turned on to them this year, so I can't wait to hear what's next for them. And I'm looking forward to it. That's all I can say. And number 3, I have Snakefather, The Concepts of Torture. It's like a damn movie soundtrack.
It is,
in my opinion, and they go so fucking heavy. I could not have it on this list. But at number 2, I have Disembodied Tyrant, the Divine Stigmata. That is the pair up number wise for each of us. But at number 1, I actually chose the Archaic Epidemic with their Carnivorous Diadem. I loved all the features on there.
Yeah.
I just think it elevated it to the top for me. And yeah, I once that came out, I was like, what the, like, again, who is this band? Like, I've never heard of them until this year. And again, I can't wait for a full length from them. So kudos to both of our lists. That was probably the most similar we're going to get.
Which is crazy because, like, I mean, a lot of these are newer, like to the scene, just already elevating to the top. And again, like, having the Archaic Epidemic and Disembodied Tyrant up so high is really a testament to what they're doing, because especially with bands like Lorna Shore and Worm Shepherd, The Breathing Process, Awake, and Providence, like, all those bands are doing it so well that it's hard. And of course, Shadow Intent, it's really hard to break into like that subgenre of deathcore. So kudos to both those bands, because what they're doing is phenomenal and bright futures for not only them but the rest of the bands on the list for sure. Yeah, dude, why don't you spin kick your way into your most brutal albums of the year? I am very curious as to what's going to go down with this list.
All right, here we go, man. This is the moment. Top 5 most brutal albums of the year. I have number 5, Dead Vectors, Weapon. I'm sorry, but this album cannot be overlooked. It is a double album, basically. It's damn near 20 songs long. Just every song is a banger. Every song is a banger. There are certainly standout tracks, but like, it almost seems like a playlist from them of like their of the highlights. I don't even know where they found the time to do this large of an album and be so consistent with it, especially in its heaviness. Just kudos to that band. I loved what they did when they came out with all those EPs, and then surprise, literally surprise, they're like, here's a weapon. For 2022,
and number with a bang.
If you know the album cover, yes. At number 4, I have Fathom. This is a new one, but I listened to it a lot ever since it dropped. It is their album, The Lurking Gloom. I love everything from the artwork to the sound. I want to say this is the most beautiful album. Nice. The guitars, on top of the very heavy vocals, no cleans in here. It's just, it's brutal, beautiful and brutal.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Highly recommend. Again, this is one of those late entries, but I don't want it to be overlooked. I think it's that good, and that's why I included it on my list. At number 3, I have Acranius, Mercy Denied.
Nice.
It's death metal, but with a lot of like hardcore influence, in my opinion. Just it's a beatdown, and yeah, I honestly slept on this album, and that's going to be the theme here for the next couple ones. I slept on it, and then when I finally listened to it during the latter course of the year, I was just like, how could I deprive myself of such greatness? And these guys deserve to be on this list. Such a great album. It should be talked about more. I think it's underappreciated, and you guys did an amazing job. At number 2, I have Synestia with Maleficium. Again, this is another recent drop, but the more I listened to it, I actually liked it more than Awaken Providence and more than Lorna Shore. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That's a bold statement, but I like what this band is doing, and I'm very impressed by them. Great features, by the way. They have Alan Guranja from Distant. And I think Adam Warren on a track too. Like, come on, guys.
Yep.
I think they hit the right notes for me within this subgenre, and it, like Arie had said, it is getting saturated, but I think this is a standout band that you should pay attention to. You should pay attention to them. But at number 1, most brutal album of the year, I have Ninthful, The Creation of God. Some would argue a muddy production, but I just think it adds to the filthiness of it.
Yeah.
The amount of features on it are just, it's one gut punch after the other. It's this dirty it's the creation of God, guys. It's, but I just love everything about it. I kept returning to it, and it was just a nice loudness in my ears that I wanted for 2022, and it was beautiful to me.
It's a solid list there, sir. And yeah, all those stupid heavy. I to segue into my own, then we can kind of come back and talk about it as a whole. I wanted so desperately to put, is it Ninthful? Is that how you say it?
That's how I'm saying it. That's the best I can say it.
That's fine. I kept saying like Neathful or whatever. We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Creations of God. I had it on the list and I changed it out a few times. And for the reason that you liked it is the reason why I didn't like it as much as some of the other bands in the same pocket. I couldn't vibe with the production as much. It is stupid heavy. I think it is like one of the heaviest of the year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get some shit for that, but I just thought that there was ones better. And I say that because it goes into my list as well.
And again, this goes into our personal taste. We're not just giving you the heaviest. We're also the ones we enjoyed.
Yeah. And there's no denying that, what is it? It's like 10 Egyptian, like, pestilent. I don't know. It's the stupid long one, like the 10-minute one with all those features. It reminded me of, like, was it the Infinite Annihilator song? Grave of the know which one I'm talking about. It's like 17 minutes long.
Yes.
Or like Argent Debt from Distant, stuff like that. Anytime you have a long, stupid, brutal song with all those features, like it is beautiful, brutal, as Todd said. Music. But yeah, I think the Synestia was a really good call. That album fucking rips. The only one I didn't really listen to is Fathom, and I will have to revisit that one since it is on your list. But I remember enjoying it when I did listen to it. So going into my list here, this is another late entry. I was really hoping you were going to say this one when you said Dead. I do love Dead Vectors. I think Weapon is a fucking out of nowhere. That was amazing. What a surprise. I was going with Dead Awake with Vile for my number 5. I am in love with this band. Was Down Tempo Daddy Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
I love his fucking handle is so good on Instagram. But this band is another one I think is really coming into their own. And also some surprise clean vocals at the end and also sprinkled throughout the production. But goddamn, dude, Donnybrook is one of my favorite tracks of the year. It's so good.
That's my favorite of the album.
Absolutely. Listening to that while in an airport, just there was something right about it. It was great.
Plus the I Declare War feature.
Oh, yeah.
Chef's Kiss.
Yeah. Chef's Kiss for sure. Following that, this is where the tie-in with the Neathful comes into play because I put Awaken Providence, their Eternity album, as my number 4 because I thought that this band did it the best as far as that pocket goes with the symphonic deathcore. Yeah, sorry, Lorna. Sorry, Celeste. I love Adam Mercer's vocals. Like the dude is just like a commanding fucking presence.
Dude, outstanding album from them. I bought it. I love that album.
It's so good. The production is there. This is the first one on Unique Leader, I believe. Uh, and also like if you're unfamiliar with this band, Will Ramos used to be in Awaken Providence. I keep wanting to say Providence, God damn it, but it's Providence. Todd let me know that very early on. So I mean, these guys have been around for a long time, and they are just honing their craft. Again, I think that this is their best work to date, and I love it. Number three, I have the next few are all slam and like beat down. So just to give you a sense of like where I was at most of the year, K9, spelled with a K, with their debut album Carnage.
Also with a K.
Also with a K, dude. From the album art to everything about it, dude. It just because it's slam, but there's a lot of hardcore elements in here too. I want to say they're from like I know they're European. I want to say they're Denmark, like Danish, but don't quote me on that.
I think they're German, but we're getting close. We're close in that vicinity.
We're close. Yeah, but they are doing it right. I love it. Speaking of now this is gonna be bad if I fuck this up. I'm pretty sure these guys are German. Brutal
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Gut Rectomy with Manifestation of Human Suffering.
Such a good album.
That was another one, and this happens throughout the year, especially like earlier in the year when I listen to something like this is it. Like this is definitely gonna be at least top 5 for me. That was what happened when I first listened to Gut Rectomy. And the features on there, like they have Dustin Mitchell, we feature that one with Scorched Earth. I really wanted to get the liquor that they have, like the peppermint stuff that they're always drinking in their videos, but I couldn't remember what it was called, nor I don't think we can get it here in the States. But anyway, whatever's fueling that band, they've got a sense of humor, which I love, and they're stupid heavy. So that's my number 2. And number 1 is definitely the most emotional album, like sonically, lyrically, all the above. And I wanted to put it in my top 5 albums overall, but Orphans Porcelain.
Yo, hell yeah.
I definitely cried during this album, which is weird to say with how heavy it is, but they strangled,
Nice.
I guess. I don't know.
The
I feel
competition
like there's
is that what you're
yeah, well, I was gonna say like themselves
Oh.
to get, or I don't know. But anyway, they were Strangled before. It's the 2 vocalists from Strangled making Orphan, and it is just an emotionally driven album. Stupid heavy. I think that they really elevated what they were doing with Strangled, but
Absolutely.
but the emotional element, like it's still like the same lyricism, but sonically they got it with a little bit more melody and the melodic side, which I think really helped make this album heavier for me, in my opinion. But fuck, dude, I cannot stop listening to this album. I love it. Like I said, I fucking cried to it many times this year. It's just so good, and it evokes some serious emotions, whether that's punching a hole in the wall or punching a hole in your own chest, because you're just that I don't know, emotion, you're emo basically at that point. But yeah,
We're just 2
I'm
sad boys
rambling.
over here.
Forever, dude. We're elder emos too, so we're not just the head of the hopwolves here. We have feelings, and that album did it for me. So yeah, that's my top 5 most
Dude.
brutal
Cheers,
of the year.
motherfuckers.
Solid list all around, man. I was actually surprised by Orphan as your number 1, but I love that album so much. Like, it pained me not to include that in any list, because it is a top album of the year, but we're limiting ourselves to 5. We're doing the hard work.
I had it as number 5 before The Machinist, but then I was like, I definitely listened to that one more.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was out of the top 5, I was like, well, now it's going straight to number 1 for most brutal.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
Dude, we're going to reiterate that it was such a hard year to choose top albums, because I feel like everyone brought it. And
Yeah.
like, if you didn't make our list, that's okay, because just know we're aware of you and we can't wait to hear more. But
Absolutely.
this begs the question now, we have 2 categories left. Most brutal song of the year and then most brutal band of the year. Would you like to do the honors for the song?
Yes. To Todd's point, it was very hard, of course, to pick just one track. I mean, any of these, but this one, even though there were heavier ones in my mind, this was number one immediately when I listened to it. Another Brutal
Cheers,
I'm not playing
motherfuckers.
favoritism. We're just trying to highlight the shit that we enjoy. I have to go with Consumer, and I'm probably gonna fuck this up like we always do. Selb's Justice, I
Yep.
hope.
And that was my number one song too for most brutal.
Cheers,
Dude,
motherfuckers.
yes. As soon as you fucking said that to me, and we talked about this,
They weigh 0 seconds.
it's literally 0. That fucking the guttural at the beginning,
Oh my god.
and just the slow, like it's one of those, like when you see the meme, like when they play the breakdown but then they play it again but slower. Like
Yes.
they don't even have to do that. Like it's already at that tempo where you're just like, oh god, dude, like I just fucking came. And then I did it again, and then like you're infertile by the time the fucking end of the song comes, dude.
Dude, another German band. There's something in the water in Germany that they're going fucking heavy.
It's not the water, dude. It's that peppermint fucking liquor that got wrecked to me is drinking.
That's right.
But yeah, I think the craziest thing with the Consumer album is like this is definitely the standout track, but it's a mixed bag like throughout the whole album. It's a really good album,
Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
not all the songs are like this. And I think that's why it stands out even more in my mind is just how diverse their sound is, and like will continue to be. Like they've released at least one other single after this the full length, and yeah, it's kind of like it's a culmination of everything that they did on their first album. But I knew that you were gonna pick that too, so I'm glad that you did.
Here's the thing, so that was the one thing that did not change all year. I wrote that shit down so long ago, and it has not become dethroned at all. I'm sorry, everyone needs to listen to that band. Their album is Obsession. I'm going to promote it. Go check it out. Like Arie said, it's a diverse album, but this is like the most immediate impact of heaviness I've felt all year.
I wasn't sure what was happening like that first time.
Yeah, you don't have time. You don't have time to think. Your neck is already broken.
Oh, dude, I bet that shit fucking slays live, and hopefully you and I can get that opportunity to check that out, because that would be sick.
Yeah. But now we're on to the most brutal band of the year. I will do the honors. I feel like mine it isn't too much a surprise after what I just listed for the most brutal top 5. So I'm picking Ninthful. I feel like there's so much potential there with that band. And again, it was just so filthy and raw and dirty and muddy, and I don't know why, but it just, I was like, I like this.
Yeah.
And I think they nailed the concept of what they were going. I loved all the features that they got on their album, and I just, to me, that band right now can't be beat on the heaviness for this year.
I agree. I almost went with them as with the Brewtal song.
Cheers, motherfuckers.
To your point, I wasn't gonna change it from Consumer, but it was a pretty close one with that, whatever that Egypt song is. Because
I know it escapes my mind, but yeah, I threw this band on so much in the background while editing, and it provided a nice white noise calmness to me. And it's crazy to say that, but like we often do that with the albums we promote every Friday when they drop. We kind of just put it on in the background, and that's not a slight at all to any band. It says something when it's just like it's almost like, to me, like a doctor putting classical music on in the background to just kind of escape a little bit, and that's what this band did for me this year.
Yeah. And that's a huge feat in itself where you
Mhm.
can listen to it, like you said, as background noise, but you can go and like dissect it. You can listen to it intently as you want to and find new tricks every time you listen to it, which is always like why the replay factor is there for
And I
almost any of these bands.
and I highly recommend listening to it in the car. That's all I can say. You'll get the real good bass out of it.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, and speaking of sure, I am going, and this is probably a cop out for most people, but Lorna Shore is my most brutal
Cheers,
band of the year.
motherfuckers.
Hell yeah,
And
deserving.
yeah, I think I know we talked about this last year because they were your most brutal
Cheers,
last year,
motherfuckers.
and it's pretty much the same reasons. Like as much shit, it's so divided. Lorna is at the top, like the absolute top of
Echelon.
their game. Yeah, dude, like they're the killer that's fucking killing everyone at this point, and people either absolutely love them or absolutely hate them, and it's crazy to see how divided it is and how much shit that like Will Ramos gets for just being Will Ramos.
It's silly
It
the hate
it
he
is
gets. That's all
it
I can say.
is
It's silly, and the band deserves everything that's coming to them because it's been a long road for them. This band is so many albums deep, so many vocalists deep.
Yep.
They've seriously been through some pain, and the pain remains.
Yeah. I mean, as much as you know, however you view Lorna at this point, you cannot deny like the impact that they've had on the scene. I mean, they get fucking they're trending on TikTok for at least a year since To the Hellfire came out.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting out deathcore ballads that are beautiful.
Absolutely.
Uh and they're just doing their absolute best. I mean, it's a great album. Pay Remains is a fantastic album. I didn't listen to it as much as I probably should have, just because I think that other bands like Awaken Providence was doing it better. But that's just a personal opinion, and that's not taking away
Absolutely not. Yeah.
from the band itself because it is a phenomenal album. And I've seen so many people get on the soapbox of like, well, I love Immortal compared to this one, and I think like it's not even like necessarily like if you like Immortal better than Pain Remains. It's just like Pain Remains is taking them to a whole nother stratosphere.
Mm-hmm.
They played Lollapalooza. They are just I don't know. So anyway, I think that for that fact alone, anytime you can transcend a genre as heavy as what we're talking about
Absolutely.
and get into the mainstream, like that's pretty fucking impressive. So
And here's the thing to all the haters. I'm sorry, like I have to say this, like them doing well is only a positive thing for the scene, and like
right.
it's gonna make other people notice those bands that you love. And there's no doubt about that. And like I just love to see again a genre like you just said, a genre that's so fucking heavy to be accepted with so many open arms from a wider net of a community. It's such a positive force for metal, and they deserve everything.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, there's nothing else that can be said other than don't be a fucking dick, don't gatekeep. Like, yeah, Lorna's opening up the floodgates to the masses. Good. Let's keep it like that.
Mhm.
Because, like Todd said, this is going to bring out more people, either as fans or as musicians, to start creating and promoting other sick bands.
It's going to keep
like
metal
Lorna.
alive.
Yeah. So basically, go fuck yourself if you disagree, because you're wrong. But what's not wrong is what we came up with, what our favorites are this year. It's been one hell of a year. I mean, there's already a lot of solid releases slated for 2023.
Yes.
I don't know. It's always hard to tell like what the year is gonna entail. But
Here's the thing for me: 2022 set the bar so high
yeah,
that I can't wait to hear what comes in 2023, man.
yeah, same. But until then, we still got about 2 weeks left of 2022. We're going to put together a playlist of all of our favorite songs from what we talked about, as well as we always have our certified brutal banger playlist. But again, let us know what was really tickling your fancy this year, because that helps us discover new bands and see what the hopwolves are vibing with. But
that's right. Complain to us on what we missed, because
you're right.
we can only catch so much. But these ones really like touched us. Like it moved us to include them on a list. Like, we enjoyed the shit out of these albums and bands and songs. So that's all we can say.
Thank you, Hopwolves, for being patient with us as we've been in transition for a lot of things, but we're looking to get back into it with the upcoming year. We're going to take some time off again. Like, we need more time off, just to get through the holidays and enjoy family, friends, all that good stuff. But 2023, motherfucker, open it up. You know what a time it is. It's time to get